Welcome back, I'm JP Falaise and this is the Bailiwick of Guernsey Shipwrecks. This channel is all about shipwrecks and also diving, finding wildlife and seeing what wildlife is on shipwrecks. So what we're going to do today is Saturday morning. We're going to go out the north of Herm today. The weather is actually pretty good and it's pretty flat, so albeit a little bit windy and it's freezing cold. So where are we going? We're going to go and do a shipwreck called Forth, which is 1.25 miles from the north of Herm. It's a steamship it went down in August 1906. It was carrying pig iron, and in the fog it failed to take proper precautions and soundings due to weather, and it run up on the Petit Long Pier and sadly was lost. The good thing about this shipwreck is there was no loss of life. There was 14 hands and they all made it safely back to St Peterport, St Sampson's. But we are almost at the top of, we're almost on the northernmost part of Guernsey. Well, not quite, because there is actually another one out there called Fort Le Plum. We're on Fort Doyle. I just thought I'd bring you here to have a little look. So this is one of our privately owned marinas, Beauset Marina. We've got Jetu, Herm, behind it on the end Shell Beach. It's quite hard to see from this angle, but there's Sark. And we're going to be coming up the Little Russell, which is this stretch of water. And we're going to be coming up to some of these rocks here. It's quite hard to tell which ones we're actually going to, but I think we're going to them ones there. And we're just up past Totney. I can see a fishing boat just travelling past Totney, but that's where we're going. This is the first unmanned lighthouse in the British Isles, the Plat Fougere. And you can just see Alderney as well. So hello to anyone from Alderney that's subscribed. And the same for any other new subscribers which we've got. Seem to be getting a load more from the UK now, which is great, and a few from America. So welcome to the channel. I'll cover a little bit more about Guernsey as well now. It seemed pointless doing it when it was just local people, local Guernsey people, or people from Jersey. But now I'll start explaining a little bit more about the island, put a bit more context to these shipwrecks and what they mean for Guernsey, how they affected us. Yeah, it's probably about, I don't know, maybe 6-7 degrees at the moment. And you can see all the rocks in the middle here, which we've got to traverse through. Rusdale, Corbet de Mont, and all these. There's a Paradis Island there, Omptol and Bectondu. There's a few. This is why this coast is so dangerous. And for anyone that doesn't know, Guernsey, we are a windblown rock in the middle of the English Channel. If you're from France and you're watching this, they don't like calling it the English Channel. It's called La Manche. They don't think the English should own it. And you can see there's red flags flying here. This is a rifle range, shooting some targets that are just behind them rocks. People call that Fort Le Marchant, but its proper name is Fort Le Plum. So, nice day. Let's go. Let's get back in the truck and drive 4 miles in that direction and get back on the boat. And today we're going to go out in Sylvia Quay, which is Richard Keane's vessel, or one of Richard Keane's vessels. Even though it's cold, I'm excited. And let's see what else we can dive as well. Maybe we get some scallops on the way home, just to pay for the fuel. Let's go diving. The old fishermen that come in back in and out to do the pots, no doubt. Been out fishing, Richard?
We have been recovering crab pots. And that was about a bit of a bad mistake this morning. We had 10 pots in a bundle. They log into GU40, so we're going to find whoever GU40 is.
If you shanker. Edible brown crab. This is where we're going. Grandam Fruit. This is where the hooky is. Potential shipwreck, maybe. I think there's more chance it's possibly an anchor that someone's had to drop to stop running aground. But it's a mission. We've been asked to do it. We want to help out other fishermen and stuff. And plus get their gear back. It's twofold really. One, we're going to get the gear back because it's expensive. And two, we just don't want to go fishing. It's a win-win situation getting fishing gear back out to sea. As soon as we hit the bottom I realised actually it's a really nice seabed, nice and colourful. We got orange, yellows, purples, pinks. It's actually a nice little drift dive this. There's even the odd little fish here and there, but we're not here to have a look at the marine life. We're trying to look for some crab pots. So we're looking for 2 crab pots that haven't been baited in a while, and they banged off the other line, so they've basically been pulled off. As all 4 of us split into a little bit of a formation in a line, I then come across this bit on the seabed, which kind of surprised me to see divers swimming in the opposite direction in the tide. Boys quickly realised these aren't the pots we're looking for. These are still on a big truce and there must be at least 10 of them, and it goes off as far as you can see. Paul's already swum past the first one and this is the second one, and it carries on. So these aren't the 2 pots. With a few considerations in my mind, one of them is that we're getting dragged down deeper. We're about 28, 29 metres and our time is ticking on. The last thing Richard said was no longer than 10 minutes and then come back up. With 6:48 on my dive timer and 6 minutes to surface, we decide we better go up. We're already at 12 minutes. No crab pots this time, and also no wreckage. We might have to come back another time. Okay, we definitely have to go up now. Let's go, Phil. Oh well, we found nothing on that one. Found someone else's pots. We're going past the colder altar. The altar of the something. We didn't show any, but there's loads of seals on that rock. Loads of seals. We didn't want to go over and hassle them. Is there any seals on this one? It looks a bit cliffy, the seals. Nowhere for him to haul out.
Imagine being shipwrecked on that, sitting on the top, waiting for a rescue, eh? In the middle of January, howling a gale.
Oh, it wouldn't be nice. A little bit of tide going south now. It's not too bad though, it's a little bit of a pull. We're going to have a bit of tide, Phil. Didn't hurt anyone a bit of tide.
Character building.
It is character building.
Character building.
Oh well, on to the fourth now. Our plan was to pull ourselves down as fast as we can to the shipwreck, quick tie it in, and then find somewhere to hide out the tide behind the shipwreck. This is one of the two derrick winches. It's fallen forwards and it's actually been pulled off the shipwreck at some time, probably during the salvage attempt to make room to get to the cargo. Now it's laying face down on the seabed just to the port side of the stern. As soon as I hit the bottom, I get comfortable and always check my air and then have a look at my no decompression time. I've got 43 minutes, so I know I'm fine for this dive. All I really need to do is check my air now. This is starting to look a lot more wreck more than ship now. When I first dived this had a really nice stern on it, really nice shape. This shipwreck is laying right over at 45 degrees, pretty much laying on its port side, or to its left. Let's take a swim around and see where the propeller used to be. This is a mooring bollard. You would have wrapped the rope around, and it would have connected it, fastened it to the quay. We're now currently looking underneath the boat. This would have been completely below the waterline. This is where someone's cut or blown off the propeller. This propeller would have been made of bronze and would have been worth quite a bit of money. We're now looking towards the back. This is where the rudder would have sat. A piece of metal that looks like a shark fin could have actually been the rudder. Here we find a piece of the side which has been ripped off and thrown over to the starboard side. You can see this round hole in the middle. This is where a porthole would have sat once upon a time until someone's taken it or had been salvaged. Here you can see its construction. All these little round holes are the rivet holes. We're now behind the shipwreck. There's not much tide here. We're being protected by the side. Half a tank. We've got loads of air. Considering I'm in 17 metres of water, I reckon this half a tank could easily last me 40-45 minutes. This round shape looks like a funnel. I'm gonna guess it's a funnel. It's in the right place. It's right next to the boiler. And this would have sat above the boiler. When the ship was originally built in 1862, it was classed as an iron steamship and a three-mast schooner. About the 1860s was when they had a bit of a transition from sail to steam. You can see the fresh damage here, these clean plates. Something's either been ripped off or the tide's actually managed to push this over. We're now swimming towards the bow area. The ship's quite a big one at 181.1 feet. 27.1 feet wide and 14.8 feet deep. On the 7th of August 1906, the day she sunk, she was carrying a cargo of pig iron from Middlesbrough down to St Malo. This is the pig iron. What actually is pig iron? Pig iron, or sometimes I've seen it being called crude iron, is an intermediate product of the iron industry. It's used to make steel. The problem with it is very high in carbon content, between 4 and 5%, also silica as well, and other stuff which is no good for making strong steel. Not in this form anyway, because it's very brittle. But why do they call it pig iron? I've always wondered that. So basically they call it pig iron because the moulds or the ingots resemble piglets that are nursing on a sow. So there's one central channel or the runner, and then also little ingots that come off at right angles. I think these represent the piglets. That's why it's referred to as pig iron. There seems to be a couple of 100 tons left here. From all the press articles I've read, John Martel was actually salvaging this vessel. Not sure on the value of pig iron. I've checked today and it's only worth about $100 a ton. I've managed to find another little hiding place behind this. This bit that's sticking up from the seabed is actually the deck, and the side of the boat is below me. Basically it's fallen to port and created a little safety zone for me to swim around to film. Phil's now swimming straight out into the tide. Here you can see, watch Matt's air bubbles, pretty much travelling sideways. It's almost time we went up, but we need to check out this boiler first. This is the front of the boiler. You can see the stay tubes and the big nuts and bolts. These are all the waterways. These little tiny holes all together would have had some sort of steel box on the end. If you get in close, you can still see there's some scrap metal left. Surprised this stuff is still here. This is a bit of copper piping or brass piping. And also Phil's found a bit of steam tube down here underneath. I'm not surprised no one's taken this. There's probably maybe 10, 11 tons of weight. These boilers weigh a ton. They're about 1 3/4 inches thick. They have to be very thick because they've got to take immense pressures. This one, I'm guessing, probably 180 pounds per square inch. That was the normal. There is a couple of wrasse on this shipwreck, but there's not much more life than that. I've seen no crabs, no lobsters, no crayfish, nothing. This little round hole would have been on top of the boiler. This is an inspection for maintenance. I've got a feeling this is some sort of pressure release valve that would have been on top. The boiler is actually rolled to port with the vessel. It's about 45 degrees. Let's take a look inside. There's normally holes in these boilers. Sometimes through damage, sometimes through when they get quenched with cold water when they're still piping hot. Sometimes when they wreck, the cold water goes on them and they fracture quickly and explode. Can be very dangerous. So in here would have been the heated hot water and the oh, there's a big spoon or something up there. I'm not sure what that is. The hot water would have been here, and the steam would have been running through these pipes from front to back. It would have been just to transfer the hot water in the boiler into that, which then went to produce the steam. High man tide is starting to pull this shipwreck apart. It happens to them all. Even though this have been salvaged, and it was never lost, they always knew where it was. One thing that's always surprised me. What's the best thing you can find on a shipwreck? That's right, bell. This ship's bell was rediscovered around the year 2000 by a local diver, despite large-scale salvage being carried out on the wreck of the SS Forth in 1907 by Mr. John Martel and his salvage steamer, the Pioneer. Even though the tide's screaming, that was easy. I untied it with one hand. That's because we've left the shot line well away from the wreck. Now, we know which way we're going to drag this shot as we go up of it. We're going to be like flags in the tide. We're going to pull it into the shipwreck. So what we're going to do is we're going to trip it up. So we're going to tie a load of the chain around the top. We're also going to tie this leader into it as well. Hopefully when we got the wreck we don't pull it into the boiler and get it trapped. This is always the boring part, and it always will be the boring part. We're doing our safety stop and holding on to the shot line, and our bubbles are streaming out behind us. See what I mean? Flapping like flags in the wind. That's us done for today. We didn't find anything up at the Grand Dam Fruit. We didn't see any pots really. We've seen one set of pots, but they were already baited. They haven't been lost. And then we managed to get down to the Forth, and that's been ripped apart. So it's been looked like it's moved south about 3 meters. Anyway, thanks for coming on another adventure, and I'll catch you on the next tide.